Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Carpenter, and welcome to my course, Introduction to Entrepreneurship. So Introduction to Entrepreneurship was a course that was developed to provide students with, and learners worldwide, with the option and opportunity to not only learn about entrepreneurship, but then also start to practice their entrepreneurial skills. This is something where I think a lot of courses can just focus on the content and theory. And, given how pragmatic and practical and applicable we all need to be when we're entrepreneurs, making sure that students actually got to apply some of those entrepreneurial skills that they're learning about was such an important part. So as you can see here, the course was developed in Pressbooks. Which was a really cool opportunity to kind of connect the traditional Pressbooks approach for making textbooks open and available, but then actually implementing, systems and ways of learning that would be interactive and engaging. But before I get into this, I do need to really give credit to my partner in this development, Jonathan Carpenter, who's also my husband. He was the educational technologist guru behind this and really helped bring it to life. I'll show you here just kind of the pedagogical approach that we took to developing the course. And this is something that we developed really thoughtfully to make sure, again, that students are not just learning about entrepreneurship, but they're actually starting to, whether they realize it or not, develop those entrepreneurial skills. And so we took a very much constructivist approach by, leveraging things like Bates section model, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning, to make sure that the multimedia that we were using were really engaging and appropriate and also accessible, and embedding those principles of UDL and accessibility. And then also making sure that the assessments and learning activities that we built were taking those constructivist approach, and they were well scaffolded. So they would increase in levels of complexity, kind of like a video game where you'd start at level 1, and then you need to work your way up as you go through with more autonomy and absolutely executing those problem-solving skills. And then foundational to the course were also concepts like student agency, spiral curriculum, experiential learning, and UDL as well. These are principles that were guiding all of the courses that were developed as part of the program, of which this is one course. And so we wanted to make sure that all of those things were reflected in the course itself. And so as we built the course, there was another thing, that was from the kind of instructional side of things. And then from a macro and micro level, we wanted to make sure experiential learning was built throughout to prepare students for more inquiry-based learning. Again, taking that kind of constructivist approach where students build their knowledge and they build on their experience. We wanted to make sure that they had some concrete experience, either by learning about something or reflecting on their own. And then they reflect and observe, looking at these experiences and respond to it. And then have some kind of abstract conceptualization, which is where they actually assimilate the conceptual framework and have some kind of implication for their knowledge and building that knowledge and taking action. And then active experimentation involves like applying what they've now learned to different situations. So it's going through a bit of a transformative process. And the course itself was all built to facilitate that throughout in multiple cycles. So just a little bit of a look at what the course looks like. Again, it's in Pressbooks here. It's open so you guys can see it, which is amazing. So kpu.pressbooks.pub/kcarpenter. And you can have a look at it there and read through the book. Again, it's got multimedia built in throughout with options to review transcripts versus actually watching videos. The transcripts are also, or closed captioning is also available because they've been put on YouTube, the videos that is. And then as you go here, as an example, if I was to go to Unit 1, there are basically like 3 modules per unit. And then what they're able to do is once they go through these videos, these are embedded with H5P activities, so they're quite interactive. And then as we get later on in the course, then we move into more simulated activities where they have to go through and complete certain simulations that align to, fulfilling some of the sustainable development goals. And that was another principle that we wanted to have reflected throughout. So you can see here, there is some writing, but again, these are by and large activities that they need to complete. There's quite a bit of information here, and the reason being that they need to be prepared for completing a case simulation, where if you start to go through it, they get to choose which of the sustainable development goals they want to focus on. And then once they choose one, then they're going through learning a bit about it, and then actually having to choose the kind of scenario that they would want to do as an entrepreneur, which is pretty cool. And so this is building up to and preparing them for developing their own entrepreneurial plan. This is kind of like a practice run that's guided for them. And so going through this process will, again, sort of help them think about the questions they need to answer. If they get it wrong, they have to start again. And then as they go through the simulation, they'll be preparing for their own entrepreneurial plan that they get to choose for themselves. So all really interesting things. It was such a fun experience. I'm so glad to have been part of it. I also need to give credit to Andrea Niosi, who was my mentor throughout this and had some really great suggestions on how to kind of bring this to life. Courses can be boring, and so we really didn't want that to be the case here. And I think we did a really good job given the contributions from everyone involved. So thank you for taking the time. If you guys have ever any questions about the course or about the process that we went through, please feel free to reach out. My name is Catherine Carpenter, and I can be reached at catherine.carpenter@kpu.ca. Thank you so much for the time, and it's great to see everyone.